Hello, amazing audience. Today we are diving into functions in C++, the building block of an efficient and reusable code. Function simplifies complex problem, making your code cleaner and smarter. In this session, we will cover everything from basic to advanced concepts, empowering you to write professional grade C++ code. So let's get started and make programming simple and smarter together. So this is the introductory part of your session. So in this session we will be dealing all of things that you need to know about C++ functions. So what is function? So function is a block of code designed to perform a specific task. So this line clearly states that there is a function and the function will do a specific task. It is not a multi field task doer. It is not like that. It basically do a specific task. You have to perform that task from that function. So why function is needed in any programming language, but we are just talking about in C++ frame of reference. So it is reusable. So if you make a function and then this kind of function you can use as many times as you want or as you need. Got it? And it makes your program modular. So in this phase, if you are very new in programming, you don't know the meaning of modular means very simple. Your code base is divided into different modules, and different modules do different things, and then all modules combine and make your overall software efficient. Got it? So you don't need to understand what is modular in this lecture, but you should be knowing in later. Easy debugging. Why easy? Because if there is a bug in your code, and then if you don't have to change the whole code, you have to just change the function. So that's why it is easier to debugging. Got it? So how many types of functions in C++? So there are mainly two types of function. First is predefined function. Predefined function is that the developer of C++ language has already been developed all those functions like cin, cout. These are all functions, or string, or size of, and this kind of things has been already defined. So this is called predefined function, standard library functions. Got it? And the second part that we are going to discuss in detail in this lecture is user defined, that us as a programmer we can define some function. So let's start with our first function, that is this function. So what is written over there? I am writing from scratch so that everyone can understand each line. So first thing, I have to include IOStream. What does IOStream does? So IOStream basically include the input and output files from C++ library. Using name is space std int main. So I want to define a function. So what is the syntax for defining a function? So basically I want to greet someone, say like someone say that hey, so then you have to make that function. Got it? So you have to just make it like void greet. Okay, and when someone is calling this function, then something should be happening. Okay, so let's say hey Ayush. Okay, so if someone calling this function, then this kind of things will execute. Okay, so let's execute. So control option and n. So something is wrong. Okay, so nothing is showing on this terminal. Why? Because we are not invoking this function. So let's invoke, copy, paste, and just invoking. Okay, so hey Ayush is printing. So you make this function here, and then you are using it. How you are using? Writing this thing again in your line number 7. Okay, so here you have defined the function, and then you are invoking this function or using this function. Okay, so without using this function will not automatically called. Okay, got it. So this is written over there. So print hello message. So hello, welcome to C++ function. This is the same code. Okay, so I think I'm able to explain you what is the syntax and how do you use any function in C++. Okay, so let's move forward, and let's print some, and let's see the syntax, how a function is defined. So this is return type. Here in return type you can use void or int, bool, string, or float, or anything. And here you have to write the name of the function. Like in this case I'm using greet. Why greet? Because it is greeting something, so the name should be very meaningful. Got it? And this is the parameter. This is the optional part. If you need this, then you can use it, and if you don't, then you don't have to use this. Got it? And this is the body of the function. Okay, so I have written this is the body. So I think I'm able to explain all those syntax part. Okay, so these are the components. Return type, I've explained it to you. Function name, that could be a basically important, or that could be a relevant name. You don't use function name is a, b, so you have to write a meaningful name. Okay, and parameter is optional. Why optional, we will discuss in next slide. Okay, and function body, as I have discussed. And return statement means what the function will return. Okay, so it may be void, or it may be a int, or anything. So let's move forward. And function with parameters. So same function. If I want that, you don't have to print greet only. If you want that, hey, greet name, and in this function you have to print, and you have to give some command like Ayush, and this function will print hey Ayush. Okay, so how do you make this function? So just copy this thing and just make another function, void this name. Okay, and what kind of thing you are passing? So this parameter is a string that I have discussed in previous lecture in one shot C++. What is string? String is a combination of characters. So is it true? So the name of string, I have to ask, tell that like str or anything. So this is defined and everything is going great. So just print hey str. Okay, so I think it should be working fine. So I'm executing is using control option and n. So I think hey Ayush, but it is printing 2 times. Why? Because I'm invoking this function also. Then I have to comment it down and then control option and n, and it is showing some error. Okay, control s and then wait. Okay, hey Ayush is printing. Got it? Let's comment it down and let's move forward. Function with return value. So earlier what we have discussed, we discussed that this function is returning nothing. Okay, so it means that if you just use this function and the function is just printing and that's it. But in another case, if I want that function should return something, what something? That the function will return a value, like an integer value, like a string value, like a boolean value, or like a floating point value. Then how we should do, and what should be the syntax? So if you want to add 2 numbers, or what? Okay, add 2 numbers. Okay, got it. If you want to make a function that is adding 2 numbers like 2 or 3, then this add function will return something. So how do you make this kind of things? So just copy this and make, and I think this 2 and 3 are integers, so then you have to make the function integer. Okay, and the parameters are num1. In interview you always have to make the variable name very relevant. Don't make like ax, this kind of stuff you don't have to use. Okay, so add this and this. So you have to store an answer in this variable num1 plus num2 and just return the answer. Got it? So, and then you execute control option, and then what should the result? Nothing is showing. Why? Because this function is returning this function. When you invoke this function, then the function is returning, but you are not storing that thing. Then you have to store some this return answer. Okay, so to return answer. Okay, and then you have to print the answer. Okay, so then option, and then so it is printing 5. Why 5? Because 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. So I think I'm able to explain it to you what is a non return type function. So it is a integer type. Okay, so let's move forward. And in this example, what we are trying to do, we have to print a number from, if user gives a number, let's say 5, then you have to print 1 2 3 4 and 5. Okay, so how do you make all those things? So let's move. Just we have to first comment it down and then make this whole thing. So print number, and someone will give like 6, then you have to start from 1 and end with 6, and you have to print all the number between 1 to 6. Okay, just like counting. So how do you make this? Just copy it, and I'm making a void function. Okay, and I have to take a parameter, and the parameter name should be num. Why num? Because it is a number. Okay, so as I have told you in previous lecture about loop, so here I will be using loop for the same task, because I'm doing same thing again and again. I'm printing same thing, then I'm doing it. Okay, so how do you use? Int I is equal to 0, I less than num, or if I want that number should be starting with 1 and then it will be ending with num, so that should be this, or I plus plus, and then you have to just print the value of I with space also. So I think I'm able to explain it to you, and if there is a problem, then I will dry run this same thing again so that everyone can understand. So I think it is printing 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. Why up to 6? Because I am giving the command 6 as an input. Okay, so it is printing from 1 to 6. So what does this function do? What does this line number 14 to 16 do? It's just a basic loop, and same thing is printing again and again. What same thing? The value of I is starting with 1. So is 1 is less than equal to 6? True. So 1 is printed. Okay, see out. Then the value of I changed 1 to 2. Why 1 to 2? Because I am using I plus plus operator here. So then the value of I should be equals to 2. Then same thing is happening, checking the condition. 2 is less than equal to 6. True. Print I. What is I? 2. Then I plus plus, I becomes 3. Then you have to just same thing, you have to just checking the condition. Is 3 less than equal to 6? True. Then print 3. Why 3? Because see out I. Next, the value of I is incremented by 1, then 3 should be 4, and the same thing printing. Then the condition is 4 is less than equal to 6. True. Then you have to print 4. Then similarly 5, because I plus plus, so 5 is less than equal to 6, and you have to print I, that should be equals to 6, and then the I becomes 7. So is 7 is less than equal to 6? False. Then if this condition false, you have to be on line number 16. After that you are here and nothing here, and then the whole function will finished. So that's how this code is working. So I think I'm able to explain it to you. So let's move forward. Okay, so finding maximum of 3 numbers. Okay, so basically your task is to perform something like someone will give you input 10 20 and 15, 3 numbers are given, and your task is to find it out which number is the maximum number. So how do you do? So here the answer should be 20. So let's make maximum. Your name should be very relevant. Maximum 3 number, and you have to give just like 1, 4 and 2, let's say. Then answer should be what? 4. Why 4? Because 4 is the largest in as compared to 1 and 2. Okay, so let's make this function. Let's making this function like a void. So you have to send 3 parameters, and the parameter should be, I'm taking the name num1, num2, num3. Okay, so how do you respond? So what first thing that is striking in your mind? If this number is highest, if, then it should be greater than num2 as well as num3. And another case is that if num2 is the highest or greater, then it should be greater than num1 as well as num3. And the last condition, this should has to be the greatest if this condition and this condition failed. So let's write and then dry run this code again for better understanding. So if I'm just making this very simple, like if num1 is greater than equal to num2 and num1 is greater than equal to num3, okay, then what should be? If both the condition true, this condition is true as well as this condition is true, it means the num1 is greater than num2 and num1 is also greater than num3. I'm repeating the same thing again. Num1 is greater than equal to num2 and num1 is also greater than num3. It means that this number is the greatest number, so we have to just print num1. So I think I'm able to explain it to you, this line. What should be the another case? That if num2 is greater, so then let's make another case in this num2 is greater. So if num2 is greater than equal to num1 and then num2 is greater than equal to num3, then we have to just repeating the same line. So just copy this line and just paste it over and then just do this. And the last condition, let's make else if, so that everyone can understand. But if you just write else, see out num3, that could also be correct. If num3 is greater than equal to num1 and then num3 is greater than equal to num2, then the maximum number should be equals to num3. So let's find it out that our code is true or not. So let's play. So the maximum number is 4. So is it true or false? Yeah, it is true. So let's change this number, this 1 to 21. Then the answer should be 21. So is it true or not? Maximum is 21. It's working fine. Then I think I should explain this code again so that everyone can understand why I'm using all those stuffs, why I'm using this multiple conditions to write this code, and there is another way to write this code. And I have a method number 2 to solve this problem in very easy way. So this is the approach 1, and I think I will be able to explain another approach for this particular problem. Okay, so maximum 3 sum. Okay, this is the name of the function, and in this function I have to perform some task. What the task? You have to just find out maximum of the 3 numbers. Okay, so if the num1 is maximum or greater than equal to num2 and num1 is also greater than num3, and the most important thing is this operator, this add and operator. What does this add and operator do? It basically find it out that both conditions should, if both condition is true, then it will return true. Okay, so if this condition is true, then there will be the highest number is num1. Okay, and similarly these condition like num2 is the highest and another num3 is highest. You can do another thing to do this line if you want that, else because you have just three numbers, so you can do also this thing also. So this code will be executing fine. Okay, so I think I'm able to explain it to you why this code is running. Let's move forward. Okay, so in this problem I have to find out whether the number is prime or not. So what is the definition of prime number? So to be a prime number, what should the number should do? So to be a prime number, the number should be divided by 1 or itself. That's it. That is the definition of prime number. It means that it has not multiple factors. Simple. So how do you find out? So let's make, basically I'm checking. So the name should be check prime, and I'm basically sending something like, is 11 a prime or not? So as we know that yes, prime 11 is a prime because it is divisible by 1 and 11 only. Okay, and it can't be divided by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that it should be prime, then it should be giving yes, it is a prime number. Okay, so what should be the approach to solve this problem? So you have to just copy it and just make this function like what, let's say I'm changing the return type, and the return type should be bool and this check prime, and I am sending num1 num. Okay, parameter, why? Because it is a number. Okay, so what should be the condition? So basically to check a prime number, you have to iterate this number from 2 to 10. Why? Because it has to divide it by 1 and itself. Every number in the world is divided by 1 and itself. So the condition is that if the number is divided by 1 and itself and with also another number, then the number should be not a prime number. So I'm iterating this loop. I'm basically using loop, while loop, to iterate from after 1 and before the number. So how do you write? For int I is equal to 2, why I is equal to 2? Because for I is equal to 1 or 0, it has to divide it. Okay, and I less than num I plus plus, and then if I'm checking the condition, and what is the condition? The condition is very simple. The condition is what? Okay, so if the number is divided by or modulo I, and this is equal to 0, it means that this num is divided by I. So it means that there is a factor. So you have to return false. Okay, else you have to return true. Okay, so here what should be the answer? Yes, it is a prime number, then it should be returning 1. So let's execute. So it is doing nothing. Why? Because it is a return type bool. Okay, so just see out, then I think the answer should be 0, but it is 1. Why 1? No, it's true. Why 1? Because it is a prime number, so it is writing that it is 1. And if you use, let's say 12, and 12 is not a prime, so the answer should be 0. Yeah, it is true. So let's move forward, or you have to just, I think I have to explain this again. So why I'm using not from 0 or 1, and why is not less than equal to? So the reason is very simple. I want to divide the number the same number with basically I'm dividing the number from 2 to the number and less than the number. Okay, so if I divide with 1, then it has to divide it, so the answer should not be equals to false. So that's why I'm using from 2 here, 2, and the number, let's say 11, and 11 modulo 2 is not equal to 0, so it's true. And then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, and then just 10, not 11, because it is less than num. So the loop will starting from 2 to the number minus 1. Okay, so that's why I'm using this thing. So let's move forward with another problem. Okay, so you have to just find sum of first n natural number. So if someone will tell you that sum up to n and 5, then you have to just write it out: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, so sum up to and just you have to, let's say, giving 4 as the input, then you have to just adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, then that should be equals to 1 plus 3. Okay, 3, then 3 plus 3 is 6, then 4. It means the answer should be equals to 10. So let's make this function. I'm making a void function. Okay, so I'm taking a variable called sum, and initially the value of sum should be equals to 0. Okay, and in this variable I'm adding the number from 1 to that number. Okay, so how do I use? So for int I is equal to 1, from 1 to that number. Okay, so number should be equals to sum plus I, and just I have to print this value of sum. Okay, so the answer should be equals to 10. Yeah, it's true. So let's check for another, and here I'm using 5, then answer should be equals to 15. Okay, okay, fine. So let's move forward. Here the problem is that you have to find the number is even or odd. Okay, so what are the number that are even or odd? So let's make it, so you have to check odd, even. So you have to just give an input, like let's say 56, then you have to just print whether the number is even or odd. So let's make a function. So I'm using void type of return type function, and I'm making a parameter num, which is an integer type. So if the number is divided by 2, and after dividing with 2 the remainder is equal to 0, then the number is even. Else you have entered a odd number. Okay, so what I am doing here is very simple to understand, that if the number is divided by 2, and after dividing the number with 2, And after dividing the number with 2, the remainder, if the remainder is equal to 0, here this is not a assignment operator, this is a equal to operator. Okay, so after that, if the number is equal to 0, then you have to print you have entered a even number. So let's execute this code and check whether we are doing right or wrong. So you have entered an even number. Why? Because 56 is an even number, as we all know. Let's say 57, then this is an odd number. So is it printing now? Yeah, it is printing. So that's how we build this kind of things. So let's move forward with another example if we have. No, we don't have another example for that. So let's conclude all those things that I have explained in this lecture. That is, function makes your code modular and reusable. I've explained it to you. There are multiple types that I have also explained it to you. So practice writing function for mathematical operators, string manipulators, and logic operators. So by end of this video, I think I have covered all the important fundamentals that you have to know to solve a problem for functions. So thank you for watching this video, guys. Till then, goodbye, and you should subscribe and like this video. Thank you.